All right, hey guys, welcome to Political Ideologies, part two. Today I'm going to explain just a little bit more this spectrum. It's not a left-right spectrum. It's really got four major quadrants, and you can see what are the major ideologies or really government systems in each one of them. Now, as I mentioned before, the American enterprise, I would place it somewhere around this area right here. Um, but I think it'll be important for me to just walk through each of these and give you some examples. So I mentioned before that classical liberalism would be likely embodied by John Locke's two treatises of government and among other works. But you could get into basically the political ideology of the founding. Once you get into the Federalist Papers, I think you would get a little bit farther toward the middle here, but that would be another example. And also conservatism, then I would use Russell Kirk's Roots of the American Order to get to as an example for or in a work for an ideology for conservatism. I don't have the book with me. We're in coronavirus lockdown. My book's at my school office on my desk, and so I don't have it with me. Sorry about that. But you can look it up. Russell Kirk's Roots of the American Order. Nazism, fascism. We could get into Hitler and Mussolini's works. Hitler's. I actually don't have Mein Kampf, but that would be an example. And then Mussolini's works as well. Communism, however, pretty straightforward. You can get into it with a quick look at the Communist Manifesto. Very, very short work, but that would immediately show you some of the basic approaches to this and how and why it would fit on the spectrum in this way. And then social democracy. Honestly, you could pull up just perhaps Bernie Sanders' platform or some others who claim to be arguing and embodying a social democratic platform. That would be a good start for embodying social democracy. And notice, the emphasis toward equality, but erring on the side of freedom as opposed to authority. Now, how do these ideologies work out, and do they actually end up exactly in this place? Well, I think that's all I mean by when we look at the actual American government, we would see that, for example, depending on president, whether he's a Democrat or Republican, or depending on what era in history they're coming from, that would place the executive branch on a certain place of the spectrum. And then if you plotted Congress and where the majority, who controls Congress, that would place them on a spectrum in a certain place. And then the judiciary, you would also want to place them as well. What court are we discussing? And then triangulating all three of the branches and placing them somewhere around here. But once again, I just, in general, I would plot the United States of America somewhere around here, and then depending on what other country you wanted to look at, you could plot them different places on the spectrum as well. Where would you put North Korea? Where would you put the People's Republic of China? Where would you put Russia? Where would you put the UK, etc.? Finally, anarchism. Anarchism is really important because I'm not speaking about just basic anarchy, like popular anarchy. I'm talking about so, for example, Sergey Nechayev, a notable Russian anarch, and he's going to be arguing for throwing the dynamite right now to destroy government. All right, I hope that helps for Political Ideologies Part 2.